I shared this with a friend recently, and then I thought I would share it here because I feel like a lot of us probably need to hear this. And who knows, maybe I need to be reminded of this too from time to time. Many of us, I think, struggle with feeling like we're not enough, or feeling like we didn't do enough. I know there have been plenty of times when I have laid my head on the pillow at night and I have went through my day and I've thought, wow, I didn't spend enough time with that child, or I didn't do enough with my husband today. Maybe I didn't do enough teaching. Did I really give it my all in class tonight? Did I do all that I needed to do when I talked to that stranger? When I was ministering to that person, did I really give them my full focus? Was there enough of me to go around? And usually the answer is no. No, there's not. There's never enough of me to go around to do all that I feel like I need to do. But I remember a while ago, I was recently divorced, a single mother to 4 children, and I was pregnant. And I was homeschooling. I homeschooled during the day, and I worked at night. And I thought, there's just not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm a terrible mother. I'm a terrible provider. I'm terrible at all that I'm doing. I'm not doing enough. And I just didn't know what else to do. And I remember praying with tears streaming down my face, asking God, what else am I supposed to do? Because honestly, I had nothing else left to give. I was emotionally, physically, mentally spent. Like I had nothing else left to give. But at the end of the day, I thought I had not given enough. Like I didn't give enough. My children were going to grow up and be like miserable. They were going to think I was a terrible mother because I didn't give enough to them. And all of these thoughts kept running through my head. And oftentimes when I'm praying and I need a word from God, I open the Bible, because if you want to hear God speak, it's the best thing to do. When you're praying, open the Bible and just ask Him to speak to you through His Word. And I remember I opened the Bible and it felt to the weirdest story, because I was like, God, I need you to speak to me about me not being enough. And I was expecting Him to take me, in my weakness. He's made strong, or I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. But no. He took me to the story where He fed the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And as I was reading that story, and I seen that He fed the 5,000 plus their wives, plus their children, and then they had baskets left over. And I just felt God pressing into my spirit. If I can take 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and I can make it be enough to sustain 5,000 men, plus their wives, plus their children, and there be enough left over, do you not think I can take what little you do, that you're doing with all that you have, that you're doing with all of your heart, that you're doing for my glory, that you're giving it your all, and multiply it, and it'll be enough to sustain you, to sustain your children, to sustain whoever it is that you're touching throughout the day, to sustain whoever it is that you're ministering to, and have more than enough left over? And in that moment, I've got to be honest, I was blown away. And I have clung to that. Especially as my family has expanded, and now I'm remarried and I have 7 children. And whenever I feel inadequate and I feel like I'm not enough and I feel like I'm not doing enough, and the devil and myself, tries to tell me you need to be doing more, you need to push yourself harder. There's more things you could be doing, and I have to really focus. Is this a God thing? Does God want me doing this today? Or is this something that Cindy's wanting to do to prove myself? Because at the end of the day, whatever it is that I've done, as long as it's in God's will, as long as I've done it to the best of my ability, as long as I've done it to bring Him honor, it doesn't really matter how little I was able to put into it. 5 minutes in the will of God can do more than 30 minutes outside of the will of God. If I'm speaking to somebody and I only have 5 minutes to give them, but I'm speaking to them from a place of love, and I'm speaking to them through the Holy Ghost, and I'm speaking to them and I'm in the will of God, God can do more with that 5 minutes than He could do if I would have sat aside 2 hours to spend with that person and neglected other things that He needed me to do. See, God doesn't need me to overextend myself. He doesn't need me to push things aside. He doesn't need me to neglect my family to do ministry. He doesn't need me to neglect myself to do ministry. No, he doesn't need me to do any of that. What He's saying is, you do what I've called you to do. You be the mother, you be the wife that I've asked you to be. And whatever little you have to give, I'm going to multiply it. And it's going to be enough. You be the best mother that you know how to be. You be the best wife that you know how to be. You be the best minister, best Sunday school teacher that you know how to be. You be the best neighbor. You be the best Walmart shopper. Whatever it is that you're doing, you be the best at that as you can be when you are being that in the moment. You put a smile on your face and you do it to bring me glory. And it doesn't really matter how weak you feel in that moment. It doesn't really matter how little you feel you have to give. Whatever it is, because my Spirit dwells in you, I'm going to multiply it. Because I've blessed you. I've anointed you. And whatever it is you do, I'm going to multiply it. And it's going to be more than enough. It's going to be more than enough to sustain whoever it is. Whoever it is that you're touching, it's going to sustain them. It's going to sustain their families. But then you're going to have an abundance left over. That abundance is for me and my family. That abundance pours back on me. That's my blessings. Because God doesn't want me to live empty. He wants me to live overflowing. So today, if you feel like you have to try to prove yourself, if you feel like if I could just push and do one more thing, if I could have just spent 5 more minutes with my child, if I could have just pushed myself that extra minute, if I could have just stayed awake that much longer, maybe I could have been that much better. Ask God, what are you calling me to do today? Focus on what you're supposed to be doing today. Give it all you've got in that moment. Even if it's just 60 seconds. And God can take that and multiply it and do more than you ever imagined. He'll multiply it, sustain it, and pour a blessing back on you. What's the Bible say? It's heaped up, pressed down, shaken, overflowing. That's what He will do. Because that's the God we serve. He's the God of multiplication. See, we try to divide our time to make it be enough. And God says, no, you just live according to my will. You just live and do the things I've asked you to do. Don't worry about dividing it up. Don't worry about making sure that you've equally divided everything up into what you think you need to be doing. No, you live according to my will. You do the things I'm asking you to do. And it's not a division problem, it's a multiplication. I'm going to take what you've done and I'm going to multiply it. And you might have think, well, I only spent 5 minutes with my child today. We read a couple of Bible verses. I prayed over them and I kissed them goodnight. Maybe that's all you had. Maybe that's all you had for that day. Because life was busy. They had school. You had church. You came home. God will take that 5 minutes. That word will marinate in that child. The prayer will seek and go way beyond the borders of this earth, and there will be things done that you won't even imagine. And the child won't feel neglected. The child will feel loved, because God's able to do more than what we can think. Now, am I saying 5 minutes is always enough with your child? No. But you know as well as I do that it's not always a 5-minute thing with your child. That's not an everyday kind of thing. But we beat ourselves up over the non-ordinary days, the days when we're pressed for time. Those are the days we beat ourselves up. Oh, if I had only. Give yourself some grace today and trust. Trust that the God you serve is able to multiply what little you have and make it more than enough to do what needs to be done.